Welcome to the experience. Today we're talking about dog EDC and how you can help your dog be as tactical as they can.
He's got 4 ankles, so he can carry 4 kits for 4 times the nom nom repair.
Not really, guys. We're here to talk about ankle kits today, but we had a special guest appearance, so he'd eat his food. And here we are.
So today we're gonna cover some ankle kits. We have 2 particular on hand, so we're gonna do a one versus the other. And we're gonna cover what's in them lightly. We're gonna cover construction, wearability, reliability.
So this is kind of a first look at the REFUGE Medical Ankle IFAK for a must. I know there's people out there that have got one. They're going like hotcakes, so check it out. We'll put the link down in the clickety-clack, but if they're in stock, you should get one. If not, notify me, email list like every other website ever. Kind of a first look at the REFUGE kit versus the one that we've been running for a couple years. This is my personal kit from the Warrior Poet Society. Warrior Poet Society. I know there's some other ankle kits out there, but we're not gonna pretend like we have experience with what we don't. We're talking about what we got. This thing has been with me to a couple different SHOT shows all over the country, and it's, in general, done a pretty good job. There's a few different components in there than what it's shipped with. There's definitely some critiques I have, but overall, it does a good job of adding an extra layer to my already probably crazy medical EDC pocket-wise. If you watched that video, thanks. If not, we did an EDC dump, just talking about what we carry and the basic stuff. So check that out if you got time. We appreciate you. You had one of these before, correct?
Yes, I have the exact same one, slightly different loadout. But right now mine is out on loan to a good friend of mine because he has a different body type. And I'm having him run it for a little while to see if his mileage, how much his mileage varies.
And it's a good point, honestly. You're helping your buddy out who doesn't have any medical items he carries on his person, but he still carries a firearm. And somehow, I've never thought I would get into a fight and punch someone without probably get punched in the face too.
Right, and a good rule of thumb is if you're gonna practice and train on how to poke holes in people, you should practice and train on how to patch holes in people.
Exactly.
And this is a quick, fast way to have something on your body at all times to achieve that, especially if it's a loved one.
Let's be real, it's like 90 seconds for an uncontrolled femoral bleed. People are able to lose their pressure pretty quick, and then, you know, nothing good comes afterwards. We're gonna talk a little bit about the MARCHE algorithm today. I'll link up a couple of videos in the wherever that is supposed to be as far as content that you might wanna watch to expand on the MARCHE algorithm, but essentially, here's the MARCHE algorithm, throw it up on screen. This essentially is the bases that you need to cover when you are trying to render aid to someone. Esmark has kind of become a thing in more recent times because first thing is best medicine for bullets is bullets.
When we come up to a patient in a non-permissive environment, such as a tactical situation, our #1 priority is always going to be neutralizing the threat. So in that case, we need to make sure that whatever injured him is not going to injure us.
You must make sure that you are safe, the scene is secured, and things are done before you're actually able to render aid. Obviously, if you're rendering self-aid in a situation, hopefully there's somebody else there to do some things while you are rendering that self-aid. But if not, think about all the badge cam videos and body cams you have seen that have required someone to render aid. It happens.
This is not gonna feel good, man, but it's gonna save your life, all right? You take a second on north at 475 north.
The number of the day is 3.
So as far as ankle kits, I love them. I am kind of a convert to the ankle kit thing. It took me a while to get used to it. Like most things, when you start carrying a gun, you're super hyper focused on everybody knows, everybody's looking at me.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do?
Yeah, when the new wears off, it's not as bad.
Yep, and yeah, there's a ankle monitor-esque bulge on your ankle, but at the same time, let's be real, what are most people paying attention to? Sometimes they're looking up.
Right.
I don't really think they're looking at your feet very often. Maybe you got some super peacocking kind of shoes that you're rocking. Maybe there's some retros, whatever.
Some stacks with goldfish in them.
I don't know. You could be Elton John. Never know. If you were Elton John and I'm wearing those shoes, I would look. Let's get into some of the components, at least at what's in mind. We're going to dump it out here on the table and talk about it. I know that there's some changes in between what I'm carrying, what Brian's carrying, and what you hopefully are carrying, but this is our experience and our opinions. So, you know, their opinions are like anatomy, everybody's got it.
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
So I've got it's probably gonna be fun to get out. Here we go, not too bad. So I've got some narcompress gauze in here. I've got a SWAT tee in here. It originally came with a cat tee, but it is too big to put on your ankle. The SOF-T excels in this. SOF-T Wide is kind of what Brian's working with over there. We'll get into that, but there's a SWAT T. I wanted an additional tourniquet. Works good for lots of things. Cut it in half. Use it for 2 tourniquets on smaller humans. Your mileage, again, may vary. All right, so in this guy, I got some shears. They are NAR shears. Don't buy cheap Amazon shears. Again, don't cheap out on life-saving equipment. I left a little rubber thingy on, so it did not poke a hole. There's 2 pairs of gloves in here. I've never tried to get the bottom one out, to be completely honest, and it's probably gonna be a little bit of a struggle, but I wanted to have 2 pairs of gloves in there. There we go, it happened. And I broke it. Broke the paper, cool. But I wanted 2 pairs of gloves just in case gloves break. Maybe you need to hand them off to somebody. These are the Refuge gloves, so they are much, much better as far as the construction compared to the NAR gloves that are stuck together, and in general, not gonna be put on as quickly. We'll say that.
And real quick note on the gloves, if you notice, they're not black.
Yeah.
So when you're
Great point.
checking a person out that's hurt and you rub them down and look at your hands to see if they have any fluids on them, you want to be able to see it. You won't see blood on black gloves.
Just is what it is, right? You're gonna be needing to do a wound sweep to check after you've rendered aid. If the obvious stuff isn't obvious, you're gonna be having to figure out what's going on. If you're working at night, obviously there's some different constraints put on us, and our planet is dark half the time. So I guess shout out to the EDC video we did for talking about lights and other things.
Right, and there's other devices you can wear to help you in the dark.
Yep.
But that's for another video if you're interested.
It is. I like to see things more than I like to not see things. We'll lead with that. So in here, I stuffed, and I mean stuffed, and I'm really gonna regret having to put this back later, but we wanted to show you. So I've got a 4-inch ETD emergency trauma dressing from North American Rescue. Buy good components. You don't have to buy a kit from the people that we suggest or other people out there. We're suggesting the ones we're suggesting because we've had good experience with them and we understand that they are made in America and they're quality. And I'm not getting cheap Chinese components with a cheap Chinese pouch. And I'm not ever going to suggest you buy stuff from people that are selling fake tourniquets. Oh man, we're gonna get into that. But if you can see the soapbox engagement I'm having right now, oh man, don't buy cheap shit. Don't cheap out on life-saving equipment. All right, rant ended. I need a hockey mask if we're gonna do those. All right, so in here I've got a wound packing gauze from NAR. You can tell it is smushed and has, it's not quite as much of a brick as it used to be, but I wanted a hemostatic gauze. I've got some high-fin chest seals that are probably about to go in the training box because they are worn, but high-fin compact chest seals. There's an MPA in here. It's 28 French, like most of them are. That's the average size. If you're super high speed, you got a big aid bag. Maybe you got a few different MPAs. If you've got the J tube or J
hard
clamp,
plastic J tubes.
exactly. If you got those, then you have to have a different size kit.
I much prefer these over the hard plastic J tubes. For those of you who know, you know, they're terrible.
You've probably had an MPA once or twice, huh?
These are much better. Comes with a lubricant on the side. If you lose the lubricant, not a big deal. There are other things you can use from a patient to lubricate it. Don't use your
Lick
own.
it and stick it.
So I'm glad he's talking about some of this is going to go in his training box because you've got to, at least every 6 months, check your gear. You know, it's services, son. So if you pull this out and it's looking ratty and fraying, it's a Mylar type package. It'll start to separate. Go ahead and throw it in your training box, and you and your buddies, you and your loved ones get together, turn it into a training aid, get those reps in.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I did kind of verify this one a few months ago just to make sure because we had just left SHOT Show and I did like a marathon's worth of walking at least.
I got you 6, brother.
Oh my God. I've seen chest seals not come off the plastic, different stuff while we've been training or filming. It's surprising how much you can actually prepare and then, you know, things wear out over time.
Right, you're not going to buy a pair of tennis shoes and run 1,000 miles in them and then keep running in them. Wear and tear is a real thing, whether it's metal fatigue on your rifle down to wear and tear on your medical equipment.
Yep. So in addition to the ankle kit, if you got room in your pocket, I always encourage you to carry more instead of less because you might need it. And this is a great option as far as the pocket stuff goes. The S.L.I.K Kit is a part of our medical EDC. I guess this is like medical EDC expanded.
Exactly.
Either way, find whatever way that works for you. Maybe you don't have big pockets. Maybe you like to wear jeans. Okay, well, ankle kit works. Maybe you are wearing some slacks or something and you can't do all of that. What do you got on this newfangled thing? So we just got this thing recently. This is kind of going to be a first look at it, a little bit of testing. Come here.
Med dog.
So we just got
house.
this thing recently. We're kind of doing a first look at it right now, but he's been wearing it for a couple weeks. So there's a little bit of feedback to be given there. We've been trying to figure out how to work it onto one of my dogs so that they can carry 4 of them at one time, but we're just not there yet.
So
Not yet, buddy.
he's looking forward to it.
Off.
So what I have going on here is a Refuge Medical Ankle Kit. I've enjoyed it immensely so far. The only thing I've changed is I added some North American rescue shears, because you're not going to bust your pocket knife out to cut a seatbelt or a pair of pants off of someone, or just for basic things like that. You know, you don't want to use your pocket knife. You don't want to potentially risk someone. So a good pair of medical shears. North American Rescue makes some of the best medical equipment.
I would be really concerned if someone pulled a knife on me when they started to render aid.
Hey,
I mean, cutting a seatbelt, I can see that. Obviously, there's, specific oriented tools that are there to cut seatbelts, but at the same time, redundancy is important, and a good pair of shears is going to be good for a lot of different tasks.
absolutely. And one thing I want to point out about this kit is that it does have a small pouch here, like it does inside for the Sharpie,
Yep.
where this one's it's much bulkier. And for me, when I would have this on, I could only get it to a certain size and it would still spin and rub a raw spot on my leg.
Gotta keep it tight.
Where with the Refuge Medical one, on both sides, it is just the simple elastic, and it is extremely stretchy. So I can fine tune that with all of this adjustment. No stretching. So I can fine tune this to where it doesn't spin on my leg and I can get it in that sweet spot. Now this came with a cat T, this did not. I removed the cat T for mine because it would dig into my leg. So this one comes with, of course, I added the shears, which everyone should. It comes with a set of chest seals. This is a new type of tourniquet I'm not familiar with yet. What were these called?
So that's an Esmark bandage. It's very similar to the SWAT-T as far as it being an elastic band. The SWAT-T, I believe, is a little bit thicker, and the Esmark is a little bit shorter. So this is a great option for, again, smaller humans. It's got a couple different purposes in addition to it being tourniquets, good for pressure bandages, good on canines, you name it.
So the only thing that I think this one needs is to have some stuff printed on it so you can actually ensure you're applying it correctly and tight enough.
Yep.
This works better for smaller humans. This will work just as well, but you have more. So in a case of a situation where you need to apply more than one, you can snip this right down the center, lengthwise, and you will have 2.
I really do agree with the instructions on there on those. The SWAT-T, if you're not familiar, basically you just stretch it until the circles are not circles. Wow, this one's that's a little bit of wear on this thing, man.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's time for this too.
So what's going on is called blooming, and the rubber is blooming. So you can just wash them down with some Dawn soap, and then that should go away. But it has indications on it to where when you have it stretched to the proper length or tightness to stop a bleed.
Yep, these little things become squares. Obviously, it's probably kind of hard to read because this one's a little worn down. It might go into the training bin. Again, check your stuff.
So, and then this has the SOF-T.
Yep.
So what I do like about it is if you're dealing with a larger person, or if a leg is broken at an odd angle, like a compound fracture, but you got to stop their bleeding before you reset the brake, it does unhook so you can run it passively around their leg or arm and ratchet it down. And for a larger person, you can also unclip it, reclip it, tighten it down.
I do believe there is some additional length on that that's not on the cat tees. I know our Oklahomies were talking about one of the giant gentlemen that is a modern day dwarf paladin is what I like to think of him as. So he definitely has huge legs, and I believe that is what fits over them. The cat tee is a little short.
And when purchasing any of this medical equipment, always check your tags. Make sure you have legit equipment.
Oh man, I'm feeling a rant coming on. Put it back in, put it back in. So seriously though, we're gonna talk about fake tourniquets and some content later on, just to try to make some awareness on it. If nothing else, the $10 you save is not worth finding out that it's not gonna work when you need it.
When you absolutely need it. And of course, this one included a Sharpie. If you do apply a tourniquet and then have to wrap someone in an emergency blanket or something like that, just grab your tourniquet, just grab your Sharpie, put a T on their forehead. Almost every medical professional in this country knows if there's someone comes in with a T on their forehead, they got a tourniquet somewhere.
Yep, and you can always mark the time tab as well on the tourniquet or on their forehead, depending on how you're feeling.
That's old school combat lifesaver business
Yeah,
right
all
there.
get a little bit of that red stuff.
So it also comes with a duct tape.
Some flat duct tape.
So in case you need to improvise a bandage.
Or
you
inclusive
can.
dressing.
Yep. And then we have gauze for wound packing.
I like that one. It's not bad as far as like having some on you. I really will probably encourage you to swap to that. Ooh, some Refuge gloves.
Refuge gloves, once again, blue, because when you're checking an injured person, you want to be able to see any of their fluids on it. Same with that. That's looking rough though. I would probably change those.
Yeah, I think it's time. And like we were saying earlier, these are hard. I'll just do it. Let's just do it on camera so we can actually prove our things we're saying. Brian, you're dying, but you're a stranger. I don't know what's in your blood. I need to get these gloves on first. Oh my gosh, what is happening? How do I do this?
If there is a liquid on someone,
gatos.
if there's a liquid on a person that is not yours, don't touch it.
Yep, if it's wet and not yours, don't touch it. Okay, apparently I'm just showing how bad I am putting this glove on. I put it on backwards. But that took a little while to pull them apart.
Right, and when you're looking at someone having a arterial bleed, this isn't some malarkey you want to be playing with.
Yeah, I might render aid to small humans just based on the fact that the likelihood is lower, and I'm probably more super motivated to be helping at that point. But again, I don't know where these people have been. I don't know what's in their blood, and I don't want to find out the hard way.
Right. So, and then of course, another brick of wound packing gauze. This stuff, if someone has a puncture or a bleed in a place you can't tourniquet, this is what you're going to need to use right here. So that pretty much sums up what's in the kit. As far as comfort goes, it's amazing with the adjustability. You find where on this rotation of this around your leg you want it to sit. I prefer it on the flat of my shin.
Yep.
Far enough around to where the bottom of this doesn't dig into my ankle. And with its competitor, let me lay this flat, and with its competitor, not as much adjustment. So I have a small ankle, small lower leg, and pulling it all the way like this puts this thing to where it spins around my leg, gives me raw spots. It's hot as hell in the summer in Texas. It is a good choice if it fits your body type. For me, it does not fit my body type. I do like the fact that it does have 2 hideaway pockets. So you travel a lot, you can throw some cash in there, emergency lockpick set, whatever you might get into.
Indeed.
This is a perfect place here where they could add one. That's a suggestion we'll make when we talk to them about it. But overall, for me and my body type and the way I wear it, the way it works on me, I prefer the Refuge Medical.
So in addition to that, I wanted to kind of talk about overall size, and then as far as the pockets go. So this is bulkier because it has a 4th pouch, right? There are these 2 big ones, and then there is the one skinny one, and then there is one that's kind of a medium size, I guess, that's on the edge, that's more internal, and it doesn't actually have that extra bulk. But like, that thing essentially was full with that SWAT-T and that wound packing gauze. It is larger. And I think, again, we're talking about pocket options. You can kind of figure out how to diversify it in a way that really works best for you. But overall, it's a slimmer option. You're able to really focus. And the fact that it's elastic, you can get quite a bit in there. In general, it being a little lower vis and being made by someone that I can guarantee, nothing against Blue Alpha Gear, who's making this one.
I use a lot of their products.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's one of them on the table right now, and I love it. And it's one I use all the time. So just in the sake of honesty, and these are our opinions, so, roast us for them in the comments if you so choose. We're cool with that. But as far as the construction goes, I have noticed some stitching issues on this thing over time. The microbial mesh they put on there is the first thing that started to wear on it. Not that it hasn't lasted well. It's still holding up today. I'm still wearing it. But in the sake of that, there are options out there that there weren't before, and it would definitely probably have changed my purchasing based on that.
Right. And if you're wearing it the way I do, I never know what kind of environment I'm going to end up in, whether it's hot, knee-deep water because of something happened. This doesn't drain as well. There's no grommets. There's nothing for it to drain. So it's going to hold that water and it's gonna be against your skin. And you know, wet material becomes harsher on the skin. This drains. Every one of these are open with something to hold it, right? So every one of them drain. So I just think, hot summer day, you've been wearing this thing, taking your wife to Home Depot, it's sweaty, nasty, take that off, flip it upside down, let it dry. This will take longer to dry.
And hot summer day, I might be wearing shorts, so I might be leaning towards another medical option just based on the fact that somebody's gonna think I'm a crazy person for having my shorts on with an ankle kit.
I don't exactly wear
won't.
shorts, so.
No, Brian doesn't. He wasn't issued shorts, and I think that's how we got here. It's silkies or nothing.
So they pretty much carry the same amount of stuff. I mean, I have tape, I have wound packing gauze, a pair of gloves, another bandage, a set of chest seals, stretchy tourniquet, bigger tourniquet, shears, and a marker.
And I honestly bet you could probably stuff a couple of these small wound packing gauzes in there and still essentially be able to put it all in the same spot. All right, so now that we have a ton of stuff on the table and I'm gonna have to repack my ankle kit entirely, what is your final thoughts on this one?
So my final thought is, I prefer the Refuge medical one because of the way it fits my body type. They're both absolutely stellar ways to carry medical equipment. I highly recommend you carry some medical equipment. This is a damn fine way to do it. So where can they find us?
You can find us on Instagram at Spicy Snafu. And thanks to everybody who's been supporting us so far. It's amazing to see your comments on YouTube and on Instagram. I have been very, very thrilled at the amount of support we've had and the amount of amazing people that are willing to give a new channel a shot. So thank you guys for that. If you didn't watch the EDC video, check that out. We got some additional content as far as EDC and medical stuff coming up. But until next time,
Stay safe in all you do.
or stay spicy.